Hari Om. Today happens to be the penultimate day, penultimate week before I head back to India, where I already announced it. And it is a beautiful location. It has to be set up for a minimum baseline of infrastructure which has to be constructed and built. And next 2 years, I have a lot of things to be arranged so that it can be the base for my. I have a vision to work in a rural grassroots level where the traditions, the temples, various aspects are not supported enough. And 21 years ago when I came here, I said the same thing, that is what I would want to work. And those of you who had known me at close quarters, this is not a new thing that I just prompted that I should go back to India. I've been saying this for the last 21 years. It was only granted now. In fact, I left home way back in 1993, 30 years ago, to join with Gurudev's permission into Chinmaya mission as a brahmachari and then later as a Swami, to work at that level. I am this week 48, and I think I have another, God willing, 10-15 years of juice wherein I can work 15-17 hours a day, and I believe I can make a difference. So I have the enthusiasm and the energy. I would also be saying that I should be humble enough to go there and evaluate what is required, because my idea is 21 years old or 30 years old. India in these 21 years has moved on. So I don't know what is the need of the hour, how people are, what are their perceptions, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses. Being a visitor is one thing. Though I have been there every year, being a visitor is one thing. In that one slot of 11 days that I stay and work there, there's only so much that you can see. जैसे कहते हैं ना कि घर में जब जमाई राजा आ जाए और घर में रहने के लिए आ जाए तो फर्क तो होगा ही ना. When the son-in-law comes, just for a week, the treatment is different. But when the son-in-law is shifting to your house, then the treatment becomes different. Then you start seeing the other details. So I would probably be traveling in the interiors within Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, to understand what is the need, what is the direction. And if there is somebody who is already working in that direction, there is some organization, there is something, I'll learn from them and see what can be included, excluded, what can be the best framework. That particular temple complex or that ashram caters to about 27 villages right now. So whatever framework that I will envision in next 2 years, I will first experiment it in those 27 villages, see how it works, fine tune it. As I said, I have a great enthusiasm. The scope is 37,063 villages in Andhra and Telangana put together. So to be able to expand, sky is the limit, scope is huge, and let's see what happens. I have enthusiasm but vagueness in how to or what to do. And if I keep traveling back and forth to US, then that focal point will not be there. So next 2 years I am planning to stay put and focus only on that while building an infrastructural baseline in the ashram itself. I did not know of this, that I would be going back to the ashram until last week. So it was animated suspension until then. There were several ideas that were floated. I think they are still floating because Swami Swarupananji, who is the head of Chinmaya Mission, he still, while saying that, make that as your base camp from where you can work out of, he still was saying that, this whole infrastructure is, as I said, there is electricity but no internet, nothing there. He feels that it is a talent wasted there in the village area. I mean, he has a global vision, he has a bigger picture that he sees, and he still is saying that there is something else that he has in mind. Now, what is that something is not revealed to me yet. Whenever it gets revealed, it gets revealed. If it gets revealed, it gets revealed. So that is where I'll be heading out. And I don't mind saying goodbyes, but there is no need for goodbye is what I feel. Do you all visit India? Do you visit often? So you have to make another pit stop. Make that as your regular. So the ball is in your court now. Swamiji, we miss you, but aa rahe ho na India. So chalo, milo. The nearest airport is about 25 minutes away. And there are regular flights from Delhi, Bombay, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Chennai to that place. So it is 45 minutes from Bangalore. They say 45 minutes from Hyderabad, but it is actually about 25 minutes. But it's that close, that accessible. So please make it a point to come, stay, visit, and see what is happening there. Cherish the beauty there. It is a very humble place. A rural life. So come, enjoy the rural life. Hopefully in 2 years that be good, where maybe I can conduct a camp exclusively for Dallasites, that you can come there, stay there, live there, and spend a week or 10 days. Sky is the limit. While living here, I have done several yatras, tirtha yatras. I think my best, and I have done Char Dham, I have done 6 times of Kailash Yatra. I think the best that stands out for me is the Dwadash Jyotirlinga Yatra in 15 or 16 days. And when I say Dwadash Jyotirlinga Yatra, it is from Kedarnath to Rameshwaram, from Somnath to Parli, Vaidyanath. So it is like northwest, east, south, spread all across, and we did that in a crazy schedule of 15 days. If we had missed one bus, one flight, or one car somewhere, the entire trip would have been devastated. There were 43 of us, and Many airports, we would bring our check-in luggage, dump on the weighing machine, all 43, and it would be weighed for the sake, weighing, because we would be the last ones, 43 just pushed in, shoved in into the flight, and it was very amazing. I don't think that record has been broken yet, because after my crazy trip, there were at least about 8 or 9 travel agencies of the level of, have you heard of Thomas Cook? So Thomas Cook also tried it, but they failed. पता नहीं तुमने कैसे किया, पर it happened. It's grace. So we have had many such yatras. So next year, definitely June, July time, there will be one Char Dham Yatra. I'll be going there after a decade almost. So mark your calendars. We might even have camp retreats at Siddhabari, Vibhuti, birthplace of Adi Shankaracharya ji. Not all in the same year, but the scope is there, years to come. There's a lot that can be done. There are many places that I have gone, but I have not done as a yatra with a group of people. Like the 51 Shakti Pitas, I have not taken people. I have gone personally, but I have not taken people. There is a lot to explore, a lot to be done, and the connection will continue. I will stop here, because if you have any questions, if you have any comments, please go ahead. Yes, please. The airport is called Gannavaram. 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 The flights started flying there since 2012, 2011. So it's a fresh new airport. Instead of going for the village, type in the following in the map. There you can save it as your favorite. Open the map. Good. Type in Chinmaya, Chinmaya, SEET, the first drop down that comes by. Sitaram Ashram, click that. On the top right hand, you will see 2 squares. Click on that and select satellite view. Do you get it? नहीं हो सकता यार. Did you spell it as SEETHA? Nandamuru. Yeah, Gannavaram is same as Vijayawada airport, but Vijayawada में नहीं है, वो Gannavaram में है. But that is the nearest airport. For Vijayawada, Guntur, Machilipatnam, that whole area, that is the nearest airport. You get it? Did you see the satellite view? A radius of 5 kilometers, there is nothing but paddy fields. So it's smack in the middle of nowhere. Shivam, Mila? Very good. Ji. Yeah, gas station is right next door. For the last 25 plus years that I have been associated with that ashram, there is a medical camp that is being conducted for last 25 years, bi-weekly, once in 2 weeks. People from 27 villages visit. It's a tertiary, like scanning or blood pressure or diabetes, or cataract, or mother and child for the 9 months. So a regular checkup and things like that is done. But when it escalates, we send them to the nearest uh, primary health care center, which is about 20 kilometers away. And for the immediate checkups, we give free medicines also there. So that is one activity. And there is Hanumanji, 15-foot tall Hanumanji. On the map, if you just push it up, see the photos, you'll see first thing is that Hanumanji. Then the uh, last year, we consecrated and did the prana pratishtha of 27 different deities. There is a Shivalaya, there is all the three Devis, then Ramalaya, then there is Dakshinamurti, then there is Kalabhairav, there is Navagraha. So there is a whole establishment. I mean, Navagraha themselves are 9 of them to be of the 27. So there is a temple complex, and there are 2 families that I have requested to live, and they are living there, operating as managers slash caretakers. Beyond that, there is one small room where it is 8 by 10, where I have not put it as a very elaborate living structure. It was just for me to go there for 11-12 days and then come out. So that 8 by 10 was sufficient. But now if I make that as my base, my books alone are about, I would say about 20-25 shelves worth books. So that itself is that is my wealth. Then if I have to communicate with the external world with all the Zoom and the YouTube and other things that have popped up in last decade, so I'll have to equip that facility also. Then of course my living quarters. So thinking of building a 1400 square foot living quarters with a studio, study, puja, everything in there. There is a brahmachari who is going to be posted there, who will take care of the temples and puja. So living quarters for him. And a kitchen dining facility has to be created. It is not there right now. Then there is a satsang hall that is required. So as I look at it right now, talking briefly over last week, I called the architect who has helped us build that temple and knows that facility well. So I gave him my idea, and for the present day expenditure in India is about close to 3 crores is the project of infrastructure, of which I would say पहले मेरे रहने का तो कुछ तो बंदोबस्त करना पड़ेगा. So that would be about close to 55-60 lakhs for that 1400 square feet. So that is the in detail about the infrastructural needs. Then to fill those rooms, get the internet, get other things, it'll keep adding on. But bare minimum would be that. My phone number and all these details that I have just shared so far will be sent out as an email to the entire congregation, so that my email, GPS, location, map, link, everything. If you are not already connected to me on Facebook, it is Swami Sarveshananda, facebook.com/Swami Sarveshananda. You can connect me there. I am on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, Swami Sarveshananda. So you can connect with me and keep connected there. If you are not already subscribed, please go subscribe. Hit the like button. I find that amusing, but I had to say it. So you can keep with me connected there in these platforms. and once I get that number, I will be sharing it in that email. And so, so far, even with what I have on my plate or had I on my plate, it was me who was directly answering all these platforms. I intend to do that. In Chinmay Mission, there is no PA system. Like Gurudev, even in his times, maybe when his health was failing in the last 8-10 years, there were people that were typing letters for him. But until then, it was him alone traveling all across the globe, 40-45 times across the globe, all by himself. Guruji did the same. Swarupananji does the same. So I don't intend to break the tradition. So it will be, I would rather use that team for something better rather than answering questions that people will be asking. And that way it also keeps it open for people to feel comfortable in asking if there is something that they don't want or feel hesitant that it will be read by somebody else. So it will be at a one-on-one in person. Maybe, yes, but I get. I didn't intend for this session to be a fundraising for it. That was not how I envisioned this. Indian government, especially after 2014, has tightened its grip on the NGOs. It closely monitors, and there is something called FRCA or FCRA, something like that. Foreign Currency Regulation Act or something, where if the organization is not registered under a certain FRCA, you cannot send foreign monies into that organization or account. But the play around would be, if, how many of you have Indian accounts in India? Right? So you can shift whatever you want to donate to your Indian account, and from that Indian account shift it to Vijayawada Chinmaya Mission, and keep me informed and posted. That way I know that that money is meant for the ashram, and that way would be the easiest method. The other method that I am told is collect the funds here. There are people who have people back there who would give equivalent amount of money. So hawala ho gaya bhai. That I would like to avoid. So I would like it, if you have Indian account, I would share the Indian bank account of the Vijayawada Chinmaya Mission, and that will also be a part of that email, and you can directly send it and keep me copied in that email when you do send something, so that I can track it and make it feasible. 1 minute. I don't want to go with an expectation. There are so many things that I can offer, but it should not be like a preconceived shot that I go into the field without knowing how to read the ball. So I would want to spend enough time, because I have lived here 21 years. That's a fact. So if I go with a preconceived notion, people will say, बड़ा आया foreigner, कल का आया हुआ बड़ा बताने आया, and they would discard it. I don't want that kind of a relationship. I want them to first accept me as a person that they can start trusting more than just knowing, and then opening up, and then me understanding their needs. What my observation has been in the last 21 years is the villages have temples but they are dilapidated. Villages have 80, 90 houses, maybe 60, 70 houses are Hindu, but for the rest of the 20 there are 4 churches, 2 mosques. They are in a very elaborate, beautiful condition, but the temple is not. For 4, 5 villages there is one priest. I remember while growing up with the kind of festive fervor that we would celebrate Ram Navami, Navaratri, Krishnashtami, Ganesh Chaturthi and others. Now it is like a lackluster. There is nobody even lighting a lamp, or when the whole village comes in and participates, there is nothing of that happening. The traditions are being systematically wiped out, I would say. This is my observation, but I don't know the facts. So I will want to stay there, understand the facts, maybe revive those temples, see how priests can be brought in if that is the need, how priests can be trained. The limit is, the sky is the limit. I don't know yet. I have to, sincerely I am saying, I have enthusiasm, but I don't know what and how to do, unless I read the environment properly. So in a year, or at least a year, I would give you my project report as to what is the framework that I am trying to work on and what direction that I would want to take it upon. Am I going to work for the Ghar Wapasi and things like that? My interest is to strengthen the Hindus and establish the forgotten, or the practices which have not been practiced in the last 2 decades or so, to revisit them and to re-establish them. And in that effort, if people want to come back to the fold, that is fine, but that is not my forte. And my forte is to strengthen and establish and be the support for those who are. And if that influences others and want to come back, more the merrier, please welcome. But I don't want to make this effort as a political one. I want to stay away from that kind of politics. You coming from Andhra Pradesh, you know the present Chief Minister and his father and all the kind of tendencies out there. I am going there not for a Himalayan retreat for the rest of my life. I am going there to stir the society so that they identify their own Hindu roots and be a more dedicated practicing Hindu. Because that is what was Gurudev's main vision, which is what attracted me to Chinmaya Mission when I was a teenager. It's his call to Indians saying Hindu Renaissance, connecting the Hindus to Hinduism so that it revibrates through the entire fabric of the nation. So that is what I think would be my scope. But what exactly those details, that I don't have right now. Very humbly accepting that I don't know. I think that's a good place to start. See, the kind of fabric that we do here may not be applicable there. If I say I'll teach you culture, nobody will be interested. But if there is something that can touch their lives and impacts it immediately, like how here this infrastructure impacts. So similarly, I had to find what impacts. And it has also been an organic society which has moved in last 25, 30 years. I have not moved with that same pace or understood their needs. So I'll have to reintegrate myself, be ready for that kind of a cultural shock and see where as I said, vagueness is where I stand right now. You had a question. Departure date 30th, and it is you all that I'll be missing a lot. Food, I think I have the arrogance of saying that I'm a good cook. So I can cook that anywhere. I wouldn't miss it. And whatever you get here, you get there as well. So food I wouldn't miss. All kinds of cuisines I think I can manage, that which I am good at here. But people are irreplaceable, and I think the strength of the memories is what I will take over there, and it will be you that will be missed. Girishi. Yes, it is. Sometimes what happens, see, every language has several regional dialects. So while staying in Vijayawada, I used to visit a lot of Telangana region. So my first lecture on Hanuman Chalisa in a village called Tekumatla. It is far remote. It is between Warangal and Nizamabad, near Godavari river, close to Godavari river. So I go there and I start speaking in chaste Telugu to that gathering. And how many of you understand Telugu, specifically Telangana? So 5 or 10 minutes into my discourse, the gentleman gets up and he is having a pagdi, so he dusts it off and he says, Dora, ఈ సైన్మా భాషలో లొల్లి పెడుతున్నావు, జరంత మా భాషలో చెప్పరా అదే. And for the next 7 days I had to speak in their dialect. So that is how I picked up all these different dialects of where I visited. So you have to taper it down to the needs of that locality and keep it accessible for them. If they feel that you are too sophisticated for them, they wouldn't want to associate with you. And this environment is sophisticated for them. I mean, in those villages when I would go, I would be introduced as, oh, here is the Swami who flies everywhere in America. They don't understand there is no other method. But to be introduced as somebody flying is like a big thing. How suffocating it is, they don't understand. Especially for a person who is 6 foot traveling in the coach category all over, it's not, I don't find it pleasing. But for them it is a big spectacle, big thing to be announcing. So to not have the sophistication and to be there where can be accepted as one of them, I have to work at that. I may have missed how to in the last 21 years staying here. I'll have to recultivate myself. I'm ready for that. Mentally I'm prepared. So let's see. Sky is the limit, Amma. I have done that before in at least 3 different localities, where identifying what is the raw material, the skill sets and traditional skill sets, revive that, provide them with the infrastructure, raise funds for the basic infrastructure, train them into it or retrain them into it with maybe if there is some new technology that has joined in, adapt them for it and create sahakari groups where they can be 25, 30 women or families that come together. They pitch in, collect the pot and the kitty is shared once a month to a new person or once a year to a new person. I have done these things before. It's not new to me, but it depends on the place. This place where the ashram is a rich belt. When I say rich belt, richness not from gold or wealth, but from the land perspective. The land is rich in the sense, usually in India, the land can cultivate twice a year, 2 crops a year, usually. But here there is 4 crops, maybe 5 crops a year. That's the kind of fertile land it is, without using much of pesticides and fertilizers into the land. Because it is between Godavari, Krishna Godavari belt It's very rich land. So there is two crops of paddy, at least three crops of paddy. Between two crops of paddy, there is one cash crop, like pulses and dals and legumes. So all of them are cash crops, like they, they grow in plenty. So it is a rich land in that sense, and the needs may be different. The raw material may be different. The women may not need that kind of infrastructure. I'll have to go evaluate. Things have changed. Government policies have changed. रेवड़ियाँ बांटना तो सबको आदत हो गया है. It's the same Kejriwal model in Andhra Pradesh, where if in a family you have 2, 3 or 4 women, each woman per month gets 15,000 rupees. So if there are 3 men, 3 women, you get 45,000. Without moving anything, you get 45,000 government given, where the government agent is working at the village level, comes, delivers you the cash. I mean, these were the people that would be masons, that would be carpenters, that would work as the working force. Now, 45,000 per month, you get food, you get electricity paid, water paid, internet paid, dish antenna paid. Why would they want to work? So things have changed. So these are the factors that I know of. I don't know what are the other factors that are affecting. So I don't want to go with any preconceived notion कि मैं ये कर दूंगा, ये बदल दूंगा. I'll go with a simple mind. पढ़ूंगा पहले मैं, देखूंगा. Then I will evaluate what will be the framework. Yes, sir. When Gurudev left his mortal coil, we were having about close to 200 centers in India, and about 13 or 14 countries, including US and Canada, Chinmay Mission had established presence. I have the rare opportunity to have been under Puja Swamiji's guidance, Gurudev's guidance, and then I have seen Guruji. So by the end of his tenure as a head, it grew up to 400 plus centers within India and reached about 28 countries. Now we are into 31 countries after Swarupananji has taken over, and the penetration from bigger cities to type B cities, maybe to some towns. But I personally have felt that my calling is in the village segment. So that is where I would be. Maybe there are another 3 or 4 Swamins or Brahmacharyans who are working with that kind of an attitude. To comment on how Hinduism has changed or fared in these since the mission has started in 1950, I don't know if it would be right, but I would still comment on the other influences. There are Christian influences, Islamic influences, Marxist and communist influences. Then there is the influence of the very policies that the Indian governance, whether at a national level or at a state level, have been pluses or minuses, whatever their policies are, towards Hinduism itself. When I say this with complete responsibility. I'll give you an example. Uh, from north to south, east to west of what is today's India, there are about 473,000 temples, 4 lakh के करीब, close to 5 lakh. All these temples are either owned by the state governance or the national governance, which means every penny that goes in is usurped by the government. When we talk and discuss, we see that many people compare in saying, oh, look at the Sikh community, they provide free food and free things, there is so much that they do for community. Look at the Christians, they have churches, they have hospitals, they have schools. What has Hindu community done? But nobody realizes that the temple is not in our control. Temple is not in the control of Hindu community, it is in the control of the government. I mean, if the government wants to control the Hindu temples, it might as well declare itself as a Hindu country, or give the temples back to the community where we can decide how those funds have to be used, which direction and development that it has to be used. So there are these factors. In spite of that, there are organizations like Chinmaya Mission or Amritanandamayi Amma and others, Ramakrishna Mission, who have been dedicatedly doing their amount of service in spite of the state and the national governments not working in tandem with Hindu. So our hands are tied back, there are 4-5 factors punching in, and yet we have to survive. That has been 70 years ago, 75 years ago, that is still the fact even today. These are the factual realities. And the amount of dignity of being a Hindu, pride in carrying being a Hindu is vanishing in at least the tier 1 and tier 2 cities of India. A very large population doesn't want to identify. And you find those samples coming here on H1B. That they are the ones who would first talk nasty about being a Hindu. So those mindsets have to be tackled and changed. Education is the only way, and to be done with patience and love. So there is a lot of factors to be understood before even I comment about how Hinduism itself has progressed or not progressed. Though in 1947, I mean, if you go to my Twitter, that is a pinned thing for last several years, that though India has gotten independence in 1947, have the Hindus gotten independence? If you want to further talk about it, go study the Indian Constitution articles 26 to 30. Those articles are giving minorities, though Indian government has not yet defined who the minority is or what the minority is. If you go by the UN standards, any ethnicity or religion or language which is 2% or less is called a minority. If you go by that standard, the Christians are about 11% and the Muslims are about 18%. And they are not minority anymore. And still the very constitution is laid out in such a way from 26 to the article 30 is against Hinduism, where in a Hindu school, in a Hindu organization, I cannot teach about Hinduism. It has to be secular. Whereas a Christian or a Muslim in their schools, they can teach, promote, proselytize and convert people, whereas Hindu cannot even teach. And you talk of secularism, a very pseudo term in my opinion, which doesn't apply to the Hindu dharmic way of life, is applied only for a Hindu. So these factors affect. So it's not just about a Hindu practicing it, there are so many tying and binding factors which have to be challenged, questioned, need be overthrown. I'll leave it there. There's much more to be spoken. So, awareful all of these factors, I am going there for stirring up. I know the challenges, I know the kind of threats. I am going there prepared mentally for that. Not unawarefully, but awarefully I am going in there. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Take care, everyone. See you next week. If there are those in the session who you know are in town but not here,